Here we are, hot off the stage, only about 10 minutes ago. Take your bins off. Yeah, on the second show of season 2 of the digital busking sessions.
I was trying to remember what the date is. It's about the 11th today.
11th today, yeah.
11th of June.
And who was it? Was it Craig said that I played this was my 94th song I performed or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Over these sessions, which is quite a lot of
tunes.
tunes.
It was supposed to be the 100th and then you got it wrong.
Anyway, there we go. So yeah, enjoyed it. Good fun, good fun. So we're going to get this.
We've got a lot of questions tonight. I'm going to try and get through them. 30 seconds.
Okay.
And some of them have been asked before, so probably won't do the similar ones again.
It's a recap.
Yeah.
Call it.
Melanie Savoury, when you were touring with Little Angels, which was your favourite song to play?
Oh, depends what period. I used to really love playing No Solution live on the Don't Pray For Me tour. Prior to that, I used to love doing Sex in Cars with the Big Bad EP tour, because that was a really significant tour for us when we first started selling out clubs. And that was brilliant, and really enjoyed that, and that was a great experience. Young Gods, probably actually Boneyard and Products of the Working Class were brilliant live. And the Jam album, probably Womankind, but also I really used to love doing Too Much Too Young live. I think it's a better song live than it is. It's a great song, but I much preferred it live, still do.
David Galbraith.
Hey!
Do you still have your own teeth? And if not, whose are they?
Unbelievable, unbelievable. You know, honestly. Well, people won't know who Dave, well, some people won't know who Dave is, but Dave was a journalist for Kerrang and is a real good mate of mine, and he's now my editor. He's now editing my biography, and he doesn't know it yet, but he will do when he's watched this, but he's going to now be editing everything I do, because I'm doing a lot of creative writing as I'm going forward. That's a big part of my future, because I enjoy it. I've got a lot to learn, as he keeps telling me. But, own teeth. Yes, still got all my own teeth. Yeah, still got all my own teeth. I've got very strong teeth, actually. I've only got one. I only got one filling, and that was put in under false pretenses.
It was. Martin Moss, your hair, did you ever cut it off? He
Yes.
obviously hasn't seen the photos.
Yes, I did cut it off. There was a period when we first had kids that I wasn't in the music biz, was I, at all? And I just sort of one day I went into the bathroom and I had some clippers. It was your mum's house, weren't we? And I just basically put, I think, a number 2 or something on the clippers and just completely shaved all my hair off. So then I sort of literally was a skinhead. Didn't suit me at all. I've got a massive head. You think my hair's big, but this is just big hair covering a big head. That's all it is.
Alison Bruce, how do you find the attitude of young bands that you work with? Has it changed since you were in their shoes?
It has completely changed. They are a lot more together with their understanding of music and their understanding in terms of technicalities. They've got far better equipment. They are savvy about their technology, and by and large. But the one thing that a lot of them are missing is that they miss the point about why they're in a band. I think there's a kind of, when we wanted to be in a band, it's because I wanted to really say something to the world. I wanted to make a point. It was difficult to be in a band. You couldn't get hold of instruments very cheaply, for instance. It was still quite frowned upon. My careers officer at school, when I went and asked, he asked, right, you had to go and have that interview. I don't know if any of you guys remember from that period. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be in a band." And he went, "Don't be stupid, boy." I mean, that's literally what he said to me. So there was no music colleges like there are today where people were allowed to sort of think about and dream about the idea of being in a rock and roll band. But that was kind of the point. It was anti-establishment, and that's what I loved about it. I wanted to do something that wasn't normal. Now it's become a bit normal. So there's even more reason to have an established, focused idea about what you're trying to say and what you want to do with it. It's not just enough anymore to just be in a band, in my opinion. You can have fun with it, of course. You can be in a garage band and have fun with your friends. But if you want to make a serious career out of it, have something to say. And a lot of bands, sadly, 9 times out of 10 don't have anything to say.
David Watham, is it easier to record music now with modern equipment than it was 30 years ago, and are the results better?
Infinitely easier. Whether they're better is an entirely it's massive conversation, that is. I mean, we could be here for hours about that one. It's made everything cheaper. It's made it even easier for access. I think that's brilliant. I love the fact that anyone can get a computer now and sort of, have a bit of software and they can record something. It doesn't necessarily make it any better at all, because there was a real art and craft about making records on tape and going into big studios and all the rest, or even small studios, even local studios were on tape, you know, and there was a real art and craft thing about it. You got to learn how to do it, and it took quite a while, and that usually sifted out the men from the boys, if you like, you know, the ones that could stay the distance, because it was expensive to record as well. Now it ain't. Lots of pros about that, still quite a few cons also.
Paul White asks, if you could go back and place one of your own songs into the soundtrack of any film, what would the song and film be?
What a brilliant question. Goodness me. How long have you got? Millions of them. Scorsese films. I would love Tarantino to pick up a Little Angel song, not that he ever would. You know, I don't know, something like... Because a lot of my real big favourite movies are iconic soundtrack films. Star Wars, Close Encounters, you know, Indiana Jones, you know, all those sorts of things, Aliens, you know. So they're all iconic. Good, the Bad, the Ugly, one of my favourites. So it would have to be something that's popular culture, wouldn't it? So, yeah, maybe one of the 80s musical comedies, you know, like Risky Business or something like that would be very, very cool. Or Ferris Bueller. I mean, you know, great to have a Little Angel song as Ferris Bueller's doing the dance on those floats, you know. So many. I mean, that's a great question, though. Great question.
It's the sort of thing you probably think about and have a different answer tomorrow.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, Matt Mead, would you ever consider redoing any Little Angels songs or bringing acoustic versions to CD and streaming? Or you're going to do the Busker CD, aren't you?
Well, I'm doing the Buskin CD, but that is just me, isn't it? I think you probably mean referring more to sort of maybe if the whole band were. I don't know, maybe you aren't. I wouldn't go back and revisit Little Angel songs just for the sake of doing it as a new recordings on my own. No, I wouldn't do that because they're there, they're documented, they have a historical basis to them. But, you know, who knows what might happen with the guys and the band in the future. We have discussed certain things, which I can't reveal at the moment, which we may or may not do. It just depends on time and affording it and all the rest of it and whether we can find someone who would be interested. But in terms of playing the acoustic stuff, I've been playing them for years and I have recorded. I mean, obviously Nigel Crooks has done lots of recordings of me doing that. I think I'm more interested in sort of trying to develop my solo stuff that I feel is left on the scrap pile a little bit, really, to a degree. And I'm always more interested in writing something new.
Rob Shaw asks, do you see the last few weeks of revisiting the Little Angels days as a bit of like some sort of therapy, having sort of therapeutic, I suppose?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Absolutely, I do. I think it's been fantastic. I mean, to sit down and try and even like Bet and the Rest tonight when I get out of here. They're not complicated songs, but what I realise about those tunes is how much energy we put into them as not just recordings, but I mean, you know, like when I get out of here, it's an absolute tongue twister. I don't know how I managed to get through it all every night. I mean, I just think it was a young man's brain, you know, coming up with all these complicated word structures and patterns and all the rest of it. I certainly, even though I do love, that's my favourite thing, I think I've become a better lyricist. My lyrics aren't as complex as that anymore, I don't think. Well, not in terms of rhythms and things. So it's been a revelation going back and revisiting them and realising how much effort we put into them.
Okay, Ian Briggs, it's a bit of a statement, but he says, I can't tell you how much I love Don't Pray For Me. It seemed like these songs almost busted out of you to tell the world, because when you're young, you just want to be at that age, cool, drink, romance the ladies, drive, go out late, party, etc. When you guys were signed, I bet life changed incredibly, or something. Was it what you expected? Did you have to dig your heels in to remain true to the music and the videos that you wanted to produce?
It was very difficult. It really was very difficult. Thanks for saying that. Yes, the songs did bust out of me, and I was always more interested in writing songs and the arts than actually all that stuff you mentioned. I mean, I went out with my mates and we went drinking a bit, but really it wasn't my world a lot of the time, really. I was far more interested in becoming a good writer, and actually more allowing, the big thing for me really was allowing the energy just to come out. I realised very early on that to be a great writer, you had to be 100% authentic. And that has to do with everything to do with what's coming, obviously what's coming out of your heart, what's coming out of your soul, what's coming out then out of your mouth onto a page. That's the important stuff for me. I'm not bothered about perfection. I mean, I know I make a joke about me not being a very good guitar player. I don't care. I'm just not interested. I make mistakes because actually I'm thinking about what I'm trying to sing. I'm thinking about the words and what it means, and that's what it means to me. And so that's how I got Don't Pray For Me, and that's how, No Solution, Big Bad World, all these songs, everything I've ever done since then was absolutely 100% I meant it. So when we went into Polydor, the brakes were put on to a certain degree. When we were well, they weren't put on, but we were introduced. What I mean is we were used to being unbridled, doing what we wanted, going doing loads of gigs, doing however we felt we wanted to do it. And of course, when you sign to a record label, that changes. You get an agent, there's promoters involved, and all the rest of it. So the first thing I remember was that we all of a sudden weren't playing gigs every week. It was like, no, we've got to stop doing that. I was like, oh, why can't we do that? Oh, because we've got to have proper organised tours. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. So that was quite hard to get used to. But then what happened is that the quality had to go up. We started working with major producers and co-writing. I did a lot of co-writing with other writers. And it was a massive steep learning curve. I mean, huge, absolutely huge. I mean, poor old Dave Hopper fell foul of that learning curve on the first recordings we ever did for 90 in the Shade. And he really got sacked by the producer. And we were like completely in, oh my God, what are we going to do? You know, he's our mate. But, you know, we were in a real world. We were in a record label that had spent a lot of money on us, getting us.
30 seconds is all I'm saying.
And we had to, it is important. And we had to make really big changes to be good. So yes, it was difficult to navigate, but we did eventually get there in the end. Sorry.
Rich Fallon, since your Little Angels days, have you ever written a song but then not used it because you thought it sounded too much like Little Angels and you wanted to move away from that?
Not really, no, because Little Angels were a certain thing that was driven by a period in all of our lives. I was reacting to the needs of the band because I was the primary songwriter. Just because I wrote the majority of the songs, I did write with Jim, I did write with Bruce. I did write with other co-writers, but it was all driven by what was happening at the time, how people had reacted to the previous music, and how we wanted to advance. And so all of that stuff, it's hard to explain it, but it becomes a tapestry in your head. You know what you need to do. As soon as the Little Angels stopped, it changed. Ignorance is Bliss popped out at me. That was the darkest thing I've ever done, and I started going down a different trail. I can honestly say, I don't think I've written a song ever since Little Angels where I thought, that could have been a Little Angels song. One or two have shades of it. It's always my voice, it's always my melodies, it's always my words, but I've moved on mainly because I've grown up and I think I've improved as a writer and I've changed the way that I do, sort of changed the way that I look at it.
Alan, excuse me. Alan Griffiths, where is the most unexpected place that you've ever been recognised? And have you ever been shell-shocked by someone else famous who's been overwhelmed to see you?
Right, where was I recognised? It was weird. Oh my God.
Which
when I had my vasectomy.
You're going to tell that
I've got to tell that story.
Oh my God.
This is great. No,
this isn't more than 30 seconds.
Well, no, I've got to. I'll try and truncate it. I went to have a vasectomy, right? And I went to a hospital in Bridlington because that's where they did them. And I was literally in the pre-op. They got me into the room. It was all dark. Had me on the table and all the rest of it. And the surgeon, they were all like, so there's the anaesthetist behind me. I'm there with a gown on and all the rest of it. And I'm sort of, they haven't given me the local anaesthetic. It's only a local anaesthetic, of course, and all the rest of it in your nuts, which, yeah, that's another story. But anyway, so the anaesthetist doing his thing and all the rest of it. And the surgeon leaned down to me and he said, do you mind if we bring in some students to watch the operation? Because we feel this, we need to do this. And I said, not a problem at all. So the doors went like that. And about 13 or 14 people walked into the room, all in gowns, guys and girls, all stood within about 2 foot of me at the edge of this operating table.
So I'm like, short hair at this point.
I had short hair at this time, but yeah, well, what was it?
I can't remember.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm laid on the table, and it's all gone quiet, and there's the machine that goes ping and all the rest of it, and the same surgeon, whilst he got me gonads out and all the rest of it, and was starting the operation. And he said to me, you used to be in the Little Angels, didn't you? And I thought, what part of me is he recognising, for a start? And I was like...
He said, didn't you used to be in the Little Angels or something?
Yeah. And I went, yeah.
So inappropriate.
And the whole thing just changed. The whole atmosphere in the room changed. They all started talking. He said, oh yes, I saw this chap here play at the Royal Albert Hall on his final concert. And all the rest of it. And then all of the students started discussing it. So the whole thing was like me, whilst I'm having this operation on quite a delicate area of the body and all the rest of it, I'm having to answer questions about the situation. I mean, it was really unprofessional in lots of ways. And then as they were getting me back into the wheelchair after I had the operation, they were all like, see, have a good gig have a great career. Yeah, we'll look out for you. And all that, honestly, that absolutely happened. Absolutely. Oh, I couldn't believe I said to you, didn't I? I was waiting outside and you came up, didn't you? And it was like, you never believe what's happened. So that's that. The couple of times I was recognised by other famous people was quite cool. The first time I can't remember what the chronology was Kelly Jones from Stereophonics. I happened to be backstage at some major festival. I think it was the Hyde Park Calling, and he was there. I don't think they were playing, but I was just stood there having a drink, and he came up to me and he sort of went, "You're Toby Jepson, aren't you?" Like this, I can't do the Welsh accent, sorry. And we had a conversation, and he said he was a fan, and he was being into the Angels, when he was a younger lad.
He went to Newport Centre, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to watch us play at Newport Centre, and I think he even said but anywhere in, because he was from the valleys and all the rest of it. So that was brilliant. We had a real nice conversation. He was really lovely. But the one that got me was when I was in Fastway. We were playing again Hyde Park Calling with Fastway. So I've got Steve Strange on drums, obviously Fast Eddie Clark on guitar, and John McManus on bass, and I'm singing. And I looked across the other side of the stage, I could see this short sort of person, and I thought, oh no, how's that? Kind of recognise him. So I sat backstage, and it was Tim from Ash, and he sort of sidled up to me and was really nervous. And I sort of said, oh, well, nice to meet you. And Steve introduced me, Steve Strange, because he's their agent. And then Tim confessed that him and Mark, who was the bass player in Ash as well, still is, were in the Little Angels fan club, and they continually used to write to Kerrang, bollocking them because they used to take the mickey out of us. But they were massive Little Angels fans. They came to Mandela Hall, they went to Ulster Hall to see us play. They were huge fans, had all the records. So yeah, and we've remained friends ever since. And he's obviously they went on to be far bigger than Little Angels ever were. But he's a brilliant guy, and it was just so nice to know that our music, kind of in a way, although they were indie kids, it did influence them. So that's great. There we go. Don't tell anyone about that story about vasectomy, please. Keep that to yourself, all right? Keep that to yourself.
You sure you want to keep that in?
Yeah, I don't care.
Chand Salyanama.
Ooh.
Or is it Salyanama Chand? Sorry, I don't know. When you played in the TP in Scarborough at Christmas, did you feel homesick? Do you consider Yorkshire to be home? Very
good question. I've led a bit of an itinerant life in lots of ways. My mum and dad, my dad was from Essex, my mum was originally from Lincoln. I was born in Lincoln. We spent a lot of time in Lincoln as kids, but we spent most of our growing up period in Yorkshire. But within that period, I moved away and lived in London, and we lived in Bristol, and then obviously, we've moved around a bit. I don't know. I don't think I do feel homesick. I have a massive affection for Scarborough, specifically my memories of it more than anything else. It's changed a lot since I was a kid, but I've got a lot of friends there still, and I love the house that we lived in, etc. But I really am loving it in Somerset. I feel like, I know it sounds like really, really cliched and terribly boring, but I do feel like a citizen of the world. I don't actually feel, I wouldn't even consider, you have to put down I'm British, don't you? I'm from the UK when you're writing stuff in sort of on forms and things. But I genuinely don't know whether I really feel like that. I just, even though I know that my DNA is absolutely English, isn't it? Anglo-Saxon, because I did my DNA test, which was quite interesting. I thought I was going to be a Viking because of the hair and everything. And actually, I was 10% Viking, but 90% from the northwest of England, which was slightly upsetting. But no, it wasn't really. But yeah, no, North European, that's what they say. So, but no, I don't. I have affection for every place I've lived, and I miss Scarborough sometimes. Most of the time, I don't. I love living in Somerset, but I miss Lincoln. I really do. I love Lincoln. It's a great city. So yeah.
Mervyn Stevenson, what's the weirdest question you've ever been asked by a fan, or what's the weirdest thing a fan's ever given you?
That's a good question as well. Well, the most, actually I can answer it really, both happened in Japan.
I knew you were going to say that.
Japan was the oddest spot. I love it. I absolutely love it. But when you first go there and you look like me, 6 foot tall, this kind of hair, you don't look like the people that live there. And so they're sort of, there's a kind of like fascination. And so you're the alien, but they're incredibly kind people. and wonderful to be around. Gentle souls, actually. That was the thing I remember about Japan more than anything else, was this kind of, once I kind of got used to the kind of, oh my God, look how big it is, look at all these massive, look at the busyness of it all. The level of respect and the level of care that we received, and I've been twice, was the best I've ever received as an artist. And Little Angels were a big band there. We were literally, it was like Beatlemania. It was ridiculous. So, but the question I constantly got asked, it might not sound weird to you guys, but it was weird because I couldn't answer it, was, how do you write songs? And I just thought they were trying to look at the sort of existential nature of that, what's it all about, how do you do it? But they wanted to know a formula. It was like, I don't know whether it was something to do with the kind of the sort of nature of the way that Japanese people are so, sort of methodical, but I was asked that question more than anything else.
Can I interject? Because that's one of the next questions. Carl Winkley, how do you write songs? You said start with a riff, a melody, lyrics.
Well, I'll come on to it. But I mean, I was trying, but of course I was younger as well. It was 1991. We're in this amazing country, being treated beautifully by everybody. But I literally couldn't answer that question. And the journalists used to answer me all the time. But every time I said, oh, it's just, I don't know, it kind of comes from, I don't know where it comes from. No, but how do you write them? And I think they wanted a formula, but I didn't have one.
So what was the strangest?
And the strangest, well, not the strangest thing. It wasn't strange, but we got loads of it. There's that one of the big things about Japanese fans is they give you a doll that's made in your image. So I came back, didn't I? I mean, you've seen them, haven't you? I mean, I've still got some of them.
In the loft, I think.
I ended up with my suitcase full of dolls that were like effigies, sort of thing, and that was the big thing. So I brought loads of those home, and that wasn't weird, it was wonderful, but it was like constant. That's what it was, that's what you got,
Okay, so quick songwriting questions. The one I just asked you, and which Tracy asks, which of your songs took the longest to write? Try and do 30 seconds.
All right, okay. I'll do the longest to write one. My songs don't take long to write. If I give myself 20 minutes to write a song, and it usually has to be inspired by an idea. I'll answer the two questions together. I don't know where it comes from. The reason why I'm calling my songwriting club on the Patreon site Flaming Pie Club is because that is in answer. That's me paraphrasing John Lennon. He kind of said something, I can't remember the exact quote, but someone asked him the same question, how do you write songs? He said, they come to me on a flaming pie. And I totally get that, because it's hard you can't explain it. They come from nowhere. I can wake up in the morning with an idea in my head. I don't know where it's come from. I have to rush downstairs, get the guitar and try and work out the chord progression. And then I've got a melody and I've got a few words and it's as long as it takes. Right, I've literally sometimes got up at 5 a.m, rushed the guitar, written something down, recorded it on my phone, come back the next morning and it's still there. You think, oh my God, did I really do that? But I have methods. I have sort of ways that I do it. But it's there after the fact. I have to come up with something that's inspired to start with. And 9 times out of 10 with me, this is the simplest way I can explain it. Words, music, meaning the chord progressions 9 times out of 10 for me, or a riff, and the melody happen all at once. It's very rare I'll just start a riff and then I'll just write a song over it. I've usually got a kernel of an idea that happens all at once. Ghosts Are Yet to Come is a good one of that. I literally picked up the guitar and went da 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 da, and within 10-15 minutes I'd written the entire song. So none of my songs take a long time to write. The writing's done quickly. It's the development that takes some time. That's the difference.
Andy Hope, along the same theme, asks, what are your 3 favourite songs to listen to and your 3 favourite songs to play? Are they the same? Well, obviously.
What, of my own material?
I don't know. What are your 3 favourite songs to listen to? But then, obviously, your own songs, which ones are your favourite to play?
My favourite songs to listen to would be, it's hard to say what they are because of anything off a Hunky Dory. Literally, I love every song. It's a perfect work of art. Changes, Kooks. It's every song. Andy Warhol, 8-line poem, incredible stuff. So that, same goes for Night at the Opera by Queen. Same goes for probably the first 6 or 7 albums by David Bowie in their completion. Same thing for Queen. Same thing for the first 4 or 5 albums of Led Zeppelin. I mean, it just could go on and on, Favourite songs of mine to play? I don't know. I've got a few. 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 I don't know. I've got a few I actually love playing Promises, which is one of my solo songs. I've always loved that. I love playing Raising My Own Hell. I love playing Don't Pray For Me. But I like a lot of them. It is how it feels to you. That's what makes it great. It's how it feels in your hands. That's another thing hard to explain.
Martin Steele asks, on a scale of 1 to 11, how would you rate the gig at the Leeds Town and Country that was filmed for MTV?
Oh, what, the original one? Off the scale. We were hot, as I don't know what at that point. We've been playing so many gigs. We were becoming very popular in this country, clearly, and around Europe, and so we were very, very confident. I think confidence plays a massive part, so much of a massive part, rather, than when you're in a band. Once success begats success, if that's the right phrase. Probably not begats, but if you get success, you have a hit single, especially when you're that age, it gives you massive confidence. And so when you stand on those stages and you've got an audience in front of you that really want to see you, it's not difficult. It's a complete and utter joy. You're not trying to convert anyone. Everyone's there because they want to be there. And so I think by the time we kind of got to Town and Country Club and all the rest of it, and even Hammersmith on the first album, on the Young Gods album, we were so certain that what we got was of quality that we were so pleased about the way that we were performing that we felt very confident. But I will say, as a caveat, we never ever assumed that people were going to like it. We worked really hard in rehearsals, always, and we always were very careful about making sure that the sets were great, and we rehearsed everything so everyone got a good night. That was really important to us. We never felt, it was never arrogant.
Dave Drayton Green, what was it like working with Toselands? Any thoughts on a duet? You have answered this before, haven't you?
Oh no, it's great working with James. James is a very, very hard working lad, and I think it was a catharsis for him doing his records because of the bike crash that he had that stopped him from riding. And James is still a very good friend of mine, and he's working on music at the moment in his own time. Whether I'll end up working on that music with him is anyone's guess. But I'm very proud of the two records we made together, and I think he deservedly so got a lot of praise for it, because he came out of absolutely nowhere, and within a 18-month period, he was playing to 200-300 people around the country, which is, believe me, that's hell of an achievement for someone who's had no history in the music business at all. So yeah, he's a good guy, and I did like working with him.
Silly question. Heather asks, is a Jaffa cake a biscuit or a cake? We don't ever have one, do we?
To me, it's a biscuit. I know there's always this big thing, for me, it's a biscuit. It comes in a tube, doesn't it?
Chris Maunder asks, what do you think of the Struts? You've answered.
Love the Struts.
You've answered that before.
Love the Struts. They are a band to watch. If they can carry on as they're going, I think they need to drop the pop dance stuff for me, because I thought the first album, Roll Up, was just incredible. I mean, I've got to be honest, not the whole record really blew me away. I think it was like Trixie for the sake of it, but there's 3 or 4 belters on that album, and I think they as a band are brilliant players, and I think the singer guy, I forget his name now, is an absolutely brilliant performer, and I think if they can stay the distance and get another couple of albums under their belt, and they can get a bit more organic and get back to songwriting like the first album, I think they've got a massive future. Brilliant.
Richard Green asks a question for me. What's one positive thing that's come out of lockdown for us and our family?
Go on then.
And I would say probably just the pace of life slowed down a lot, didn't it? And
yeah.
Although, well, it hasn't, because
not for me.
You've been so busy. I would say having Toby home more is obviously got its benefits, but then I hardly ever see you because you're always working, and but I don't know, just a chance to regroup, I suppose. And
nice food.
Oh yeah, lots of nice food.
Far too much drink.
Been a highlight, just because we can't go out, so we've been having nice meals. And
and I've done quite a bit of work on the house.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get that,
Right, last question from Dave Pritchard. The way things are going, we are looking at herd immunity, with many measures being lifted sooner than expected. Are you willing to do a gig in this environment if they suddenly decide that it's okay to do so?
I would have to consider that very carefully. Where do we start with this? It's impossible without getting really sort of, I don't know, for me, getting quite angry about it all, really, in lots of ways. I know people who have died from this virus, indirectly and directly. Know lots of people who've been in hospital with it. It's not a joke, and even though I'm not going to say for one second that that everybody in our government thinks it's a joke, but I think it's been absolutely slapdash. The way that they've reacted to it, terrible. In fact, actually, I go so far as to say it's been utterly incomprehensible how they could have made so many bad mistakes, and whether they were done on purpose or not, I don't know. I wouldn't want to cast those aspersions, but it's clear to me that it ain't going away. You only have to look at history. Look at the Spanish flu. Look at how long that lasted. It lasted well over a year before they got it under control, and there was a second spike 3 or 4 months after the first spike and all the rest of it. So who knows? We may be heading into another spike. The idea of the fact that it's we can just congregate again in massive numbers, I can't see that really dissipating and becoming something that's sensible and acceptable until there is kind of proper treatments. I'm not certain there'll ever be a vaccine. You know, it's part of the flu virus family, and you can't really vaccinate against the flu. I mean, even though you go for your flu shots, I've had flu shots and still caught a bad cold, you're on borderline flu and all that. So it's very hard to know. And I'm not a virologist or an epidemiologist. I only know as much as everyone else has read. But one thing I do know is that until someone says to the entertainment business, we can go back to how we were before, because that's the only way live gigs and theatre and festivals work, I shan't be doing it, because this whole idea of 2 meters apart, 18 people in a venue that holds 300 makes no sense to me at all. I would prefer to carry on doing the live gigs online. I prefer to do that, because at least that connections plenty of people and we all feel like we're in the same space, you know what I mean? Weirdly, it's kind of got that kind of feel to it to me. But I will take advice. I've got great managers, I've got a great agent, I know all the promoters, and they will be taking advice from the local authorities, etc. And I will do what I'm allowed to do when everyone feels safe and confident. How's that?
There we go. So Josie came to say hello and goodbye because she missed her moment on the live show, didn't you? You were fast asleep.
All right, take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.